Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, was born on February 12, 1809, in a log cabin in Hardin County, now LaRue County, Kentucky. He's widely considered to be one of the greatest and most impactful presidents in American history. Lincoln grew up in a poor family and had limited formal education, but was an avid reader and largely self-taught. His family moved from Kentucky to Indiana when he was just 7 years old. Just 2 years later, his mother, Nancy Hanks Lincoln, died when Abe was just 9. Abraham's father, Thomas Lincoln, remarried. The future president had what you would call a strained relationship with his stepmother, Sarah Bush Johnston Lincoln. Lincoln's formal education was minimal, but he developed a passion for reading and education. He even studied law on his own and became a successful self-taught lawyer, as was common in the 19th century. Lincoln practiced law in Illinois for 17 years and was one of the most sought-after trial attorneys in the state. He also worked various jobs, including farm laborer, rail splitter, and store clerk, to help keep food on the table. Lincoln entered politics in the 1830s, serving as a member of the Illinois state legislature. His political career began to gain momentum as he became known for his eloquence and positions on issues such as infrastructure development and the abolition of slavery in the District of Columbia. He served a single term in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1847 to 1849. During his time in Congress, he opposed the Mexican-American War, viewing it as an unjust aggression against Mexico. He also supported the Wilmot Proviso, a failed proposal to ban slavery in any U.S. territory won from Mexico. Having pledged to serve a single term, he returned to Illinois after that term and resumed his career as a lawyer. He also received a patent for a flotation device in 1849 for the movement of boats in shallow water. The idea was never commercialized, but it made Lincoln the only president to hold a patent. Lincoln appeared before the Illinois Supreme Court in 175 cases. He was sole counsel in 51 cases, of which 31 were decided in his favor. From 1853 to 1860, one of his largest clients was the Illinois Central Railroad. His legal reputation gave rise to the nickname Honest Abe. In 1854, Lincoln was again elected to the Illinois legislature, but he declined to take his seat. Up to this point, Lincoln had been a member of the Whig Party, which at this point was dying out in the United States. In 1856, he became a member of the Republican Party. He was considered for the vice presidential nomination at the 1856 Republican National Convention. However, John C. Fremont ultimately received the nomination. 2 years later, in 1858, Lincoln ran for the U.S. Senate against the incumbent Democrat Stephen A. Douglas. The famous Lincoln-Douglas debates attracted national attention, focusing on the issue of slavery extension into the territories. While Lincoln lost the Senate race, the debates elevated his political stature. The Republican Party nominated Lincoln as its presidential candidate in 1860. On November 6, 1860, Lincoln was elected the 16th president in a four-way race, marking the first time a Republican won the White House. However, in a sign of the times, or a sign of what was to come if you prefer, it's worth noting that Lincoln won exclusively with the support of the North and West. He did not win a single Southern state. That said, his victory in the Electoral College was decisive. Lincoln had 180 votes to 123 combined votes for his opponents. After the election, but prior to taking office, Southern states started to announce their secession from the Union. By the time Lincoln took office on March 4, 1861, South Carolina, Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas all succeeded, and the Confederate States of America were born. Lincoln refused to acknowledge the Confederate States of America's existence, and just a month after taking office, the Civil War began. Lincoln navigated the complexities of military strategy, politics, and public opinion to preserve the Union. In 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring all slaves in Confederate territory to be free. While the proclamation did not immediately free all slaves, it shifted the Union's goals to include the abolition of slavery. Later that same year, in November, Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address, emphasizing the principles of human equality and the importance of preserving the Union. In 1864, Lincoln ran for re-election. As the Confederate States didn't vote for the United States election, Lincoln won overwhelmingly. Second inauguration, March 4, 1865. War ends just over a month later, April 9, 1865. And just 5 days after that, Lincoln is shot by John Wilkes Booth, dying the next day, April 15th, in Washington, D.C. His death marked the first assassination of a U.S. president. Lincoln oversaw one of the ugliest and most divisive periods in American history. The Venn diagram of the Civil War and the presidency is pretty much just a circle. And the United States came out very changed afterwards. For this reason, and the ending of slavery on his watch, he is widely regarded as one of the greatest American presidents. What do you think of Abraham Lincoln? Let us know in the comments. And make sure to like and subscribe to Life Story so you don't miss any of our future stories. See you in the next one.